I'll tell you what, man. WNBA is fun. The WNBA is a ton of fun. Now, they got problems, and they got stuff they got to take care of, which we'll get to in a second, but boy, it is even more fun to talk about than I thought it was going to be. It really is.
But it keeps adding tentacles, and people have taken their sides, right? There's heroes, there's villains, there's some inane conversations that are being had, and we certainly saw some of that come to the forefront today. But, all in all, it's something that, we've talked about for a while on the show. I'm not going to say it was front and center because let's face it, the rest of the sports media, look, you talk hockey, what happens? Don't talk hockey, right? You can get a little bit now that it's the Stanley Cup final, but otherwise, no, push it away.
Go Panthers.
Right? So now we got that. Although Edmonton gained a lot of fans over the last couple of days, and it ain't for anything that was done actually on the ice. You can go into your socials and find that.
Just happy you don't have to worry about the Dallas Stars. I'm dealing with one team in the finals, not the Cowboys. Don't got to deal with two now. That's
that could have been problematic. Likewise,
was going to have to give Dak $65 million to get a headline. Now I just got to pay CeeDee Lamb instead, so it's okay.
But likewise, there's a lot of other sporting events through the years.
The Stars have made it. Boy, gotta give Dak his money. Gotta give him $75 million. But now I can distract from the WNBA guys. The NBA guys, I just gotta pay CD. So that's fine.
You were able to go and cancel that giant novelty check you had printed down at the Kinko's.
Thought I was going to have problems with it. Every team in Dallas going to finals in this past season except for us. But, hey, it's okay now. Just 50% of the teams now.
Well, you know what? If he'd cut concession prices a little bit for the upcoming season, would have been a win.
The real question, how much did he pay off the Stars?
No, there you go. But you're going down the line, right? How many sports stories, like we talk about the women's national soccer team. Mm-hmm. How many times when we do a segment, we talk about some of their problems the last couple of years, how much negative feedback did we get of why the hell are you guys talking about this? Like, it's part of the business, right? You're looking at, we're broadcasting here. So you're trying to reach everybody with something that's going to move them positively, negatively. But if you're unaffected and you don't care and you tune out altogether, that's the worst of all of it, right? So the WNBA has a seat at the table. People are watching more basketball. And, yeah, the numbers suggest it's mostly Caitlin Clark-led games. And the schedule, guess what? You didn't have to look very far because most nights the Indiana Fever have been playing.
They can't play every night? I mean, come on, really?
I really thought they'd be playing tonight.
It doesn't matter. Their record is terrible.
Go back to back to back.
They could play every night. Don't practice. Just have games.
See if you can just roll up one more time.
They could finish 10-70. No one's going to care. Everybody else plays 40 games. They play every night. It's fine.
But they
could take Thursday off this week because it's game one of the NBA Finals. Play Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then play again on Friday. Come on. What's going on? Come on, man. You got flexible scheduling, man. Flexible scheduling.
Well, you know what? We need those primetime games.
I look forward to these games every night. I look forward to seeing what so-and-so is going to say about so-and-so because, boy, they really don't like each other.
But there's a lot of physicality, right? There's a lot of battles, and it's not just Caitlin Clark. We saw Angel Reese taken to the deck a week ago in the low post. Congratulations to Alyssa Thomas. She was the conference player of the month, right? Her and Asia Wilson. Mm-hmm. And then, as everybody would have expected and really hoped to see, Caitlin Clark was the rookie of the month.
Yes, well, she did have a month that was what? Second only in the history of the league to what Brianna Stewart did, I think, coming into the league.
Yeah, I just think there's a lot of those stat pulls that we're really getting into weird territory. Well, kind of like when Clark was hitting three-point shots and we were finding anybody who's ever thrown up a basketball to compare it to. I think in the WNBA and the NBA, like we do it all the time. Like you and I will be sitting here watching, say, the Western Conference Finals, and all of a sudden there's just a random stat. It's like, who's doing these stat pulls? What are we doing?
First person to score 150 points, pull down 50 rebounds, 25 steals, 25 assists, 4 blocks. Let's go all the way back. See what we can find here. Oh, yeah, gotta
go
back
to beat the kids on the tricycle at the halftime race. I mean, all of those things.
But look, it's tons of fun, and obviously this weekend it's hit a new level with the bad foul on Caitlin Clark by Chennedy Carter in their game against the Sky and the fallout since then. And what we have seen is, look, this weekend was embarrassing for everybody. It was embarrassing because it was a dirty play. It was embarrassing that the officials didn't adjudicate it properly. It was then given a flagrant today, but that should have been something called in the moment because it was right in front of the official. The behavior of Reese and Carter on the court after, not talking after. Look, it's been something, right? And you see Carter and Reese both talk today about the foul and the play, and you're going to hear from Angel Reese coming up in a few minutes and how her saying that, the league is not about one person, but it's about me. I mean, it's just totally Angel Reese. But you can see the one thing that we talked about a couple of weeks ago, right? That what's the biggest thing and what's the biggest question, the biggest fear that I had for the WNBA, and that is you have to show that you're ready to handle success. And that's the one thing I can tell you right away, they are not. They have not been ready to handle what goes along with Caitlin Clark coming into the league. It's like when there's a big fight that's going to be streamed or a few years ago, or something, a new website is going to be launched, and you're preparing for it, and you have your IT guys, and you go, okay, you're ready? Yes, everything is fine. You run tests, everything is fine. What if we get 100,000 people in a 10 seconds, but no, it's going to be fine. It can withstand it. Okay, it's not going to crash. Okay, what if we get 500,000 people in the first 5 minutes? Don't worry, it's not going to crash. And then the time comes and you go online, you try to sell tickets, and the site crashes. And you're like, what happened? How are we not ready? I thought we were ready. That's the WNBA. They were not ready to handle the instant success that was coming with Caitlin Clark into the league. You knew that there were going to be more eyeballs. You knew there was going to be backlash. You knew there was going to be attention. You knew there was going to be things you had to deal with. And all we've seen the first couple weeks has been, boy, all of this attention on the WNBA, and they just don't seem like they handle business, right? If you ask the average person, the average fan, what do you take away? What do you think of the first couple weeks of the WNBA? Not knowing, hey, Caitlin Clark is coming. Average fan. The average fan would say, wow, boy, these players really hate Caitlin Clark, don't they? They really don't like her. And boy, it seems like the media hates her too. And whenever I see the media talk about it, it seems like it's because she's white. Like this is what the average person is taking away optics-wise from the first month plus of the WNBA. And you can tell right away that you got to get a handle on this, man. You got to get a handle on, here's some dirty fouls that are called, and you can obviously see there's some kind of anti-Caitlin Clark movement that goes through the league that's pushed by talking heads who have no other storyline than to say, well, is it racial? Is it this? Is it that? Is it? I mean, you have to figure out a way to say, hey, let's make sure we look like we're a big sport now. You talked about having a seat at the table. We do have a seat at the table now. People care about the WNBA. Do they just care about Caitlin Clark? No, they care about all the players. But Caitlin Clark obviously is the Shaq. She's the hood ornament of the league. And if the other players don't like it, I'm sorry, you got to figure out a way forward that you don't look like you are shooting yourself in the foot every 5 seconds, because it looks like with the instant success that WNBA has, they weren't ready to handle it. And when that's the when the average fan can say, boy, they seem to hate their star player, is it not? Is she white? Is it because she's white? Is it some other reason? I don't understand what's going on. When that's the conversation, whoa, you got to take hold of this now. You can't just wait and let this hopefully work itself out. You got to take hold of this and say, hey, no, we know what we're doing. Everything is fine. We're a big conglomerate. We are a big sport. We are going to get it right, but you got to get it right now because you weren't ready when it started. And I said, you got to be able to handle success, because that's a big thing. You see people and organizations and companies fail because they can't handle it, and that's what's going on with the WNBA.
Yeah, scale certainly in building to scale after all the years and all the negative headlines, right, about ratings and merchandising and ticket sales and attendance and all of that stuff. It's hard, right, when that flips. And I know on the whole, you're not looking at a monumental change in the average attendance, but guess what? Fever games have their appeal. You've got the state of Iowa. They don't have a pro team, so you adopt something. What do you adopt? University of Iowa athletics, both on the football and basketball side, and women's basketball and Caitlin Clark. We've watched it, right? And it's the road show. And it was built in, right, that you had this pent-up animosity, rivalry, whatever you want to call it, however you ascribe it, because, again, I can't tell people how to feel when it comes down to it. You like the players you like the teams you like. And if Caitlin Clark's attention is too much for you from the outside, you can go back to not watching if that's really turning you off. But for the players that are in the league, look, I think Saturday's game, from everything that I've watched, and watched a lot of her action here in the studio and games, when we're working remote or I'm on at home, like that was the first time that it was really egregious to me. Like she's gotten hit and she's come off screens and she's taken some hits. She's delivered more than a few of her own, right? And again, if you're going to be blank talking up and down the court, eventually someone's going to go and take their shot. Now this one being off the ball. And I fear for Caitlin Clark, she's got a little bit of a reputation as a flopper. So now you've got officials that are kind of deciding how much is a sell versus true impact on those things. So that's going to be a bit of an issue as well. But to your point about handling all of this, yeah, it's been a disaster. What the Sky did the other day, I mean, you could like it, saying, all right, we'll play the villain to a point, but you're not helping the league grow.
No, you're
right.
Not,
you're casting a negative light, like whether Carter acknowledged it and wants to give a full answer or not. But Weatherspoon shutting it down, just saying, all right, we're done with that, and kind of that was the end of really questioning it all. Like, all right, you were in the spotlight game.
Yeah,
you lost by a point.
Yeah.
Right, you put up a good, here's an opportunity. You can still shine. All right, those questions don't have to be everything that's being asked.
But that's about handling success. Handling success doesn't always mean when you win. Handling success is, hey, guess what? You're interviewed now after every game.
It's
and
not one or two local people. It's a lot.
People care about what you say. Understand that what the image you put out there is what people think of you. And that's a big deal. And to say, I don't want to talk about it, we're not going to, then I'm going to go on social media and talk about it. And then finally, when they talk today, and Chennedy Carter finally says, oh, don't judge me by my one action. Hey, this is big time sports now. This is big. I get that you've been in the league a couple of years now. Everything has changed, and you got to be ready to handle this. It goes from it's top to bottom. It's just you got to be handling success. I mean, being in the spotlight, you got to handle it.
Now, I do appreciate that when she goes to social media, I mean, it draws a whole other conversation, right? It adds fuel to it as opposed to just the foul. Would have liked that in front of the microphone instead of social media.
Yeah.
But that's me. That's my preference because then it gives us a good soundbite instead of reading off a tweet.
Yeah.
But again, own into the action and the attention that's coming off it. It's not always going to be positive. Angel Reese ended up having to get fined $1,000 for not being available. Sky got fined $5,000 for the way that all went down. It's like it's an opportunity as a sport. Right, Clark's going to have her attention, like it or not. Here's an opportunity for everybody else to step into the light. And yeah, people have been along for the ride for 20 years? Sure, they're at the party now.
Yeah,
welcome them in.
You can't look back and say, why didn't you get to the party now? It's okay, you're here. We can't tell you when your sport is going to break through and be something big. It took women's soccer a long time. It took other sports a long time to break through. Men's soccer took them a long time to break through. It's a different time. But you're here now, and you got to be ready to handle success, and they can't. The world is moving too fast for the WNBA, for its commissioner, for its coaches, for its players. It is moving way too fast right now, and they got to get a handle on that.